Hello everyone. This is the continuation video of W.D. Gann's book Tunnel Through the Air. What we have seen till now is more of only the first reading of the book, that is Tunnel Through the Air, and only about the simple things which are there given in the book overall. This part will start revealing about various things and how to read the book carefully during the second time so you understand what exactly is there in the book and what are the secrets which are there and how they have been revealed into the book, right? So let's go step by step and try to understand the things which are there together into the book, right? So basically, before starting with all these things, I would like to tell you few of the things which are there. It would be more of a summary about the book and W.D. Gann's work which is there till now, right? So this is like, let's say, what is the summary about? See, Gann was more of into various things together which is there, right? First is he had a firm belief about history. That's why he has been every now and then talking about cycles within cycles. He has been specifically mentioning about various dates, the date for the earthquake, then the dates which are there for his birthday, then the dates which are there for the wars which are there, and all those things which I've been specifically mentioning, right? See, dates are there, then events which are there, like events like discovery of America, then the pandemic which was there, which is more of a cycle which is there for 100 years, then the wars which have come down. Then he has specifically mentioned about elections which are there, how he was able to calculate the dates for the election, who'd be elected next into the book, right? He was very fanatic about numbers which are there. Few of the numbers which he thinks is important are 3, 6, 9, 7, 11, 22, 52, 144. This he has mentioned about in various works which are there. Let's try to get into the details of that part, right? He was very specific about square numbers. He was very specific about square of 9, square of 12, 22, 52, 144. These are some of the numbers which are there in his working. These are not been specially mentioned in Tunnel Through the Air, but about other works which are there, like his commodities course is there, or other things which are there, especially if you go on various websites you'll be able to find those things together into those parts. uh, then he was very much specific about invention science. Now what are one of his strength is there is he was very strong in terms of science which is there. He talks about inventions, about automobiles, ships, aeroplanes, submarines. These things he have again mentioned in law of vibration, where he thinks that okay, at exact points we are able to find all the things and things do vibrate out those parts in terms of time as well as price. Do read this book also by W.D. Gann, which is Law of Vibration. Gann followed astronomy, which is there, right? And Gann was very much more into Bible. So every now and then he has been mentioning about Tunnel Through the Air, where he talked about Bible, Ezekiel, and various gospels which are there. So he has mentioned all these things more of in details, right? Now, for the first time when you read the book, it's more about of leisure. You know, come to know about the 90-day cycle, 120-day cycle. Then we have also discussed about squaring of time and price. How do they happen as per the 120-day cycle? Then the reversals which are there. Let's say, for example, if it is cycle which is there of 90 days, you'll be finding a reversal coming down maybe in 45 days, that we saw in the previous examples. I'll request you to refer the previous videos which are there so that you can get more of into the details of that part, right? Gann emblem and rest of the things which are there are been already discussed in the previous videos. What I'll request is once you have gone through the book once, I will request is first of all try to make down various notes which are there. These are very important because first time you won't be able to understand any of the things apart from the simple things which are there. But it's very important that you put down notes. Even if you see in my book, which is there, I have mentioned all the readings, especially the first time when I've read, the second time, third time, fourth time I have read, all the details were there. Wherever I think things are important, I have marked down all those things. So my book is full of markings which are there in various colors which I think are important from aspects, right? So it's very important to put down notes altogether everywhere where you think, right? Find out correlation between dates, numbers, that is number of times a word has occurred, or maybe specific dates which are there, or maybe events which have repeated, the page numbers which are there, chapters, correlations. Of course, I'll try to explain all the things in details one by one. I'll take few examples also, not all of them, but probably few examples out of this. uh, Next part is find out something you think odd and think about it, right? Let's say there can be various things which are odd. I'll just try to give you an example about this book specifically. The name of this book is The Tunnel Through the Air, or Looking Back from 1940. Now, if you see the page numbers which are there, that is only till 423. There is no page number like 1914 or something like that. So where did this all these things come from? You need to be able to understand about things and analyze, right? Because this book was been written in 1927, and if you see the last date which is there, or probably the story which has been carried out till that time, it is there till 1932. To be specific, August 1932. So where are rest of the things which have been coming out? What is 1940? So you need to analyze, think about all these things together, and then you'll be able to understand what exactly it is been talked about, right? Next is, it can be as odd as a small mistake, or a line, or a page number, number of lines, paragraphs, even a word. I mean, like small things like word break. There are breaks in the words which are there. We'll try to take few examples into these parts and try to understand how things are there, right? Next thing is, don't go by the face value of what has been written over there, right? Always try to check out with facts which are there, try to verify them, because Gann was a very smart person. If you're just reading across, he'll just take you carried across through the story, nothing more than that. But if you try to find out facts exactly how they are there, for example, if the dates which have been given are those the exact dates, or if it is event which has been mentioned, what date or when did it happen, is it something to do with the cycles which is there, all we need to understand one by one, right? These are all there in forms of hints which are been given, and we need to find these hints. Until unless you find these hints, you won't be able to understand any of the things. Now, the best thing that I did for finding out hints is I read, or maybe did see more of Sherlock Holmes books and videos which are there. Then I was also playing Minesweepers. I mean, like in my early days when where computers were there in 1996, 1998, I used to play Minesweepers more of. From Minesweepers, I was able to develop my logic altogether, because this Minesweepers is a game more of probabilities. Of course, it's not necessary that you should be playing Minesweepers also. Only you can see for various games where you are able to develop your logic, because you need to have a very strong logic to understand things which are there. Because it is not that, okay, fine, you'll be able to just find out things which are there given by their face value or something like that. You need to have n number of logics, permutation, combinations, and then probably you'll be able to find some of the things which are there. He was great with numbers, dates, interpretations, all these things together, right? So let's get into the book and try to understand few of the things which are there, so that we'll be able to understand those one by one, right? Let's go to the first part. And the very simple and first basic logics which have been given in the book is, the first part, which is going to be the tunnel through the air, right? Or looking back from 1940. Now, what is this exactly, looking back from 1940? Because when the book was been written, it is 1927. The dates which are there, those have been precisely given in the book. For publication date, probably you need to find out separately what is the publication date. But here it was been given 9th May 1927. This is not the publication date, right? And the last date which comes into the book is for 1932, not more than that. So where does 1940 come from? What exactly it is there? So for that purpose, what I've done from my side is, I'll just tell you all the things which I've done, right? First and most important thing that I have done is, I have put across a table. Now, this is not one table, but more of different tables which are there together, so that it becomes much more easier for me to find out things which are there, right? So as I told you, Gann was very fanatic about squares which are there, right? So I have put down all these things together, right? And written it down. For example, squares. I've taken squares from 1, 2, 3, 25 up to 50, right? So all the squares have been mentioned. The reason is, when I want to find out something, it becomes much more easier for me to find out, right? Same is there with dates. So what I've done is, I've broken down all the dates which are there. Let's say, for example, I know a year, it has been made up of 12 months, and it is there of 52 weeks, and it has 365 days. So for further calculation, I have mentioned about hours, minutes, seconds together into that part, right? So same I've done in terms of month also. Let's say, for example, there is 1 month. So 1 month has probably 4 weeks. It has got 30 days. Then hours, minutes, seconds have been again broken down into those things. Same is there for weeks. For example, 1 week is there. There are 7 days. There are 368 hours which are there, minutes, and then seconds. Gradually, you need to break down all those things. Same is there for days. Then we come down to hours. You come down to minutes also, right? Second thing which I've done from my side is, because we are talking about circles, circle is of 360 days, so I've considered a year which is there for 360 days. Of course, this is not much of use, for just for your basic understanding. Let's say if you want to talk about 360 as such overall, you come to know about maybe 12 months, 52 weeks. Days come to 360 and not as 365, and on the basis of that, calculation becomes from hour, minute, seconds also, right? This we have already seen when we are watching about 90 days cycle, 120-day cycle, so it becomes much more easier into that part, right? We have also taken into moon cycles which are there, let's say from 1st to 15th and probably 16th to 30th. So these are just been approximately written down so that things become easier for you for calculation purpose, nothing more than that, right? So the first thing that we are talking about is 1940. What is 1940? So let's go back with some calculations and try to understand what exactly is 1940. So for example, let's say I have this sheet and I just try to point about 1940, right? So I'm trying to search that. I won't get anything which is there with 1940. So I look for 194. Again, I don't get anything with 194. I try to find out for 19 and I get it is 196 is a square of 1 4, that is 14, and 19 is coming into the moon cycles, and then 19 as a number which is there, and 19 comes up as in a square of 44, which is 1936, right? So I'll just mark this so that it becomes easier for us for identification purpose, nothing more than that. So 1936. Now if you see, 1936 is very close to 44. 1936 is very close to 1940, which is the number that we have, right? And 1936 is a square of 44, right? So something easier for us to get some clues that what it is there, right? So we find out that first of all that okay, 1940 is the nearest number to 1936 and 1936 is a square of 44. So this is the first thing that I've found out, right? So what I did is I just mentioned about that, and 1940 has been given, right? So with 1940, I'll just put down 1936 and I'll put down 44 so that it becomes easier for us to understand, right? From here, we go to the next things which are there, that is forward, right? Let's try to find out if we are able to find out anything odd in forward, right? So this is more like a book talking about all these things together. And the first thing that I get over here is there are various words which have been put down. Let's say, for example, fiction, that has been broken down in words. Threefold, that has been broken down. Fiction has been broken down. Contains, it has been broken down. Interested, that is again been broken down. Incentive, right? Incentive, that is again been broken down. Now, again, wisdom, that has been broken down, right? So what is all these things? Why has he broken down all these things, especially into the preface? It's not that, okay, you didn't have space or something like that, but still he has broken down all these words together. So there must be something interesting about the forward and talking about all these words together, right? So what I try to do from my side is I just try to identify how many words are there into this forward, right? So when you count all these things together, you come down to a magical figure, and that magical figure is 140, 484. So the words which are there together start to end only in the forward are 484, right? So what I did is I again found out forward 484, which has been written down. Again, we go to the same maths page and try to find out what is there, especially about 484. So we found out 484 is a square of 44, right? I'll again mark this 484. So it becomes easier for us to identify that. And we find out that 484 is a square of 22, right? So I do the same thing again. I mark down into my read sheet and I put down 22, right? And again, I find out a coincidence that 22 and 44. So 44 is a multiple of 22, right? 22 into 2 is 44. That is what we come to know about, right? So again, maybe Gann is trying to point out something to us, that this number is important, which is 22, and again maybe 44 also. But what we understand is 22 is the important number. Why? Because 22 was there into the forwards part, and 44 was also important. And something maybe probably in terms of incentive is also important. Why? Because we are getting incentives for that part, right? So that is something important, right? Let's try to find out some other things which are there. For example, the first date that we get in the book is this date, that is 9th of May 1927, right? I'll probably just try to put down this day, that is 9/5/27, 1927, right? Now be very specific about this part, because we are currently living in the 21st century, and because of that we at times do get confused about the dates. So specifically mentioned about 9/5/1927, right? So that you don't get confused. And let's try to find out what is the last date in the book, right? So for going to the last date, probably we just need to go to the last page, or maybe the last pages which are there. And we came to know that, okay, fine, that the end of the things, there was a war which was been completed, and this war came to an end in 1932, right? So after 1932, probably they had called for all the people together for a peace gathering, and this peace gathering had come down on a specific date. The invitees were all been sent across, and the place was also been put across. So August 1932 is where all the things were being put across. And so we know that, okay, this is 1932. Excuse me. And our last date was August 30th, right? So we know that the last date for this was 30th August 1932, right? Now, if we try to identify the subtraction of the first date from the last date, the figure comes to 1940, right? Again, we saw a figure which is 1940 over here, and again at this part it was 1940. So this can be not termed as a coincidence that the same words are coming again and again, which is 1940 over here. So if I interpret for that, it comes to 484, 22, 20, 44. So again, probably these things are directing around to the same things which are 22, right? So all these things are there, which probably comes down into the things one by one. We'll see across those things, right? Let's go to some next interpretations, which probably will be much more easier for us to understand. Right. So we found out something about 1940, and now we know that, okay, it is related to a number by 22, right? Same was preface, and same was with the dates which are there, right? So we haven't even started with the chapters which are there, but let's go to the first chapter, right? The first chapter reads is, in the extreme northeast corner of Lone Star state of Texas, around 8 miles west of Texarkana, right? And now if you again see, the word Texarkana is again been subdivided into two parts, right? Right. In a lonely farmhouse on Sunday morning, June 10th, Amelia Gordon turned over in her bed and watched the sunlight streaming through the window on the head of her newborn son. Right. Now again, if you see THRU through is written same over there. So probably there is no specific different meaning for that. She would also hope that this, her third son, would be born on Sunday, but he was born late Saturday night, June 9th, 1906, right? A few months before his birth, his mother had started a severe shock on account of the death of her oldest son in San Francisco earthquake, right? In April, right? Now let's try to interpret few of the things which are there, right? Let's go again for the dates part. because we know that okay, this was the date which has been given, that is June 9th, 1906, right? And probably San Francisco earthquake is there, so probably something that should be related to this earthquake. And this earthquake happened in 1906 because this was few months back. So let's try to find out a date which is there for San Francisco earthquake 1906. So 1906 San Francisco earthquake happened on 18th of April 1906. So we do the same thing. His date of birth is there, which is 9th June 1906. And we have the San Francisco earthquake, which happened on 8th of April 06, right? So what we do is, again, we try to calculate the dates which are there. For example, this is the date of birth of Robert, and we subtract this date, which comes to 52, right? Now let's go back to our calculator and try to find out if anything is there odd about 52. So 52 we find out in square 529, and we found out in weeks. So what we interpret is there are weeks, 52 weeks. But let's try to find out something more on that part. How to try to find out more about on this part is, let's try to find out something which is there. Let's say, for example, earthquake is there, San Francisco earthquake. During reading, we have come to know that okay, there are various instances when this earthquake was being mentioned, right? So let's try to find out when about this earthquake was being mentioned. It was been mentioned depressed after the loss of his eldest son in San Francisco earthquake. So this is again been interpreted. This is the first page. Then we find out on page number 78. Then we find out on page number 86. Then we find out on during earthquake, but this is not related to that earthquake, something else. Again 1906 earthquake. Again San Francisco earthquake. Again earthquake. Right. So all these things have been mentioned and been given. And we come to know that okay, fine, this is probably been tried to be given somewhere again and again, right? So what we do is, let's try to find out few of the things which are there one by one. So we knew that okay, his date of birth was there, and that date, especially 1906, it came on the first page, and the last time we are seeing the date which is 1906. So the first time the date came on 1906 on page number 1, and probably after that it came on page number 290, right? So let's try to find out some logical interference, how they are there, or try to find out some correlations between that. So this comes on page number 290, and this is on page number 1. So if we subtract that, we come to our number which is 289, right? And if we see the chapter, this was in chapter number 1, and the last time it came on chapter number 26, right? So again, 26 is there. If we subtract that, we get 25, and the second is 289, right? Again, let's go to our maths part and try to find out if we are able to get something by 289. 289. So 299 is again a square of 17, right? So here we'll write down the same thing. This is square of 17, and this is a square of 5. 5 5s are 25. So guys, these are some small things that we need to identify and try to interpret what are the things which are there and see how things have been coming, right? So this is probably the first video which is there. I will come back again with few other more videos and take these things further. Okay, thank you for now.